kidding. Call to order the Vermilion County Council meeting for May 13th, 2024. If you please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, Mr. Costello.
Here.
Mr. Somerville.
Here.
Ms. Brown. Here. Mrs. James, I'm present. Mr. Weir.
Here.
Mr. Bose.
Here.
And Mr. Brown. Okay. All right, first we have our approval of minutes from our April 15th meeting. Are there any comments, concerns, questions, or corrections that need to be made? None?
Motion to approve the minutes.
All right, got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Somerville, a second from Mr. Weir to approve the council meeting minutes from April 15th, 2024. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed state no. Minutes are approved. Next, we have our monthly treasurer's report. Are there any questions regarding that? No questions? All right. We will move on to our transfer of funds. We have, I think, 2 tonight. We have 1 reporting only and 1 non-reporting. Our first one requires a vote. It is a transfer of $15,000 from courthouse deputy into building and structures. This is to make improvements at the courthouse.
I'll make a motion we approve.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion from Mr. Weir, a second from Mr. Bose. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the transfer, $15,000, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed state no. Transfer is approved. All right, and our second transfer is reporting only. It is a transfer from 5th Deputy into part-time help in the auditor's budget. Any questions on that one?
No.
All right. That is the end of transfers tonight. We will move on to additional appropriations. The first additional appropriation was in the amount of $275,000 for the ambulance service that is in the public safety. That is the amount that we agreed to cover the cost of an ambulance on our last meeting. It is to replenish the budget for the service contract. We used the service contract budget to pay for the ambulance, and then we'll replenish the service contract. It was advertised out of the public safety fund, but we would also like to advertise that out of the ARPA, or the improvement fund money, and so we are going to re-advertise that in June, and we'll have that on our June agenda with that option to fund it out of the ARPA money.
And time is not an issue on that matter, correct?
No, we still have enough to cover the contract currently for the next couple of months in that account. So this is just to replenish that for the rest of the year.
Right.
So we have that time availability.
So the official move on this request is to table or re-advertise?
It'll be, should we table it?
You can table this and then you can bring it back up if you did want to take it out of here.
Okay.
And then re-advertise out of just,
It'll leave us,
ARPA.
so we don't have to re-advertise it again.
Don't have to, not out of
Okay.
this one.
Is there a motion to table then? And we can leave this one on the table?
I'll make the motion to table this till the June meeting
Okay.
to rediscuss the fund source.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion from Mr. Costello, a second from Mr. Somerville, to table the additional appropriation of $275,000, once we just re-advertised in multiple places to be funded. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. All right, it is tabled. It will get funded, it's just a matter of which fund. The next additional appropriation is for the amount of $150,000 for capital outlays. This is to cover the cost of an ambulance facility. This one was advertised in multiple spots, kind of similar to what we were just discussing with the previous additional appropriation. We do have options on this one. There is the option to fund it from the general fund or the certified shares fund. And Commissioner Yocum is here this evening. If there's questions.
Well, you know what, we decided as commissioners, the option came up for Perrysville Fire Department to put a facility there. I know that RJ was in support of that, and was all in support of looking at that. When it came out is the amount of money was going to be spent, and the biggest thing came out, talking with the ambulance committee, is the response time. If we station an ambulance at Perrysville versus having them stationed at KU, the response time for Clinton, if something's out, but the majority calls, it didn't make sense. So we voted, Britt and I voted for the put new facility. RJ voted against it, but it passed, and so that's where we're at. And what we want to do is to purchase the existing ambulance facility.
Were there any other options available in Cuba that you found?
No, I didn't see anything was doable. The thing about it is having something already in place, and if you move it to a different place, there's a whole bunch of question marks. You just don't know what's going to happen. And Julie Lazone, who's over Park County Ambulance, also recommended that. Also, she's oversee all of it when it's all done.
She recommended location,
Yes.
like to be in Cuba?
Yes. Yes. What we got on that, we have about $750 for realtor fees. That's all it's going to take care of the paperwork. About $1,000 in title search, unless someone can find something cheaper on title search. And then there was, we had the 2 appraisals done for about $500 a piece. So that's how much money you're going to have in the moving and the transfer getting this done. The appraisal price is less than what we're paying for it. The whole thing I see, it's already there, it's set up, it's already in service.
Appraisal price is greater than.
You what?
So you say less than, appraisal price is greater than, is that not correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
The appraisal price is higher
Right.
than what we're paying for.
Right.
So the ideal situation as far as real estate, I don't see, what I see is buying a facility, using it, and when you're done with it, you're probably getting all your money back. And so why mess with trying to move something and all the logistic, and it's too much. Because North Maine already said okay to put a new facility there on the northwest corner of the property. That's what we're going to do. Eventually it's going to happen. And we went for funding the ARP money for the new ambulance facility, and that was not on their radar. So I don't think we're going to get that. So we're going to have to find some other place to fund it. I think you guys already approved $600,000 for that. So I'll look some other places. If you want to know anything about the contract, I can tell you what the contract is. I sent a copy to Ashley. I don't know if she had a chance to forward it to you.
Everyone got a copy?
So right now, what we got, we'll have to have another ambulance by Labor Day weekend. Okay? Park County don't mind covering for a while, but they don't want to bring their ambulances over here that is backup for their own. And we'll eventually have 2 new ones here in the facility. They will also be given $100 off for every ambulance call in the county. That's a policy they have in Park County, that anytime they have a call, then Park County taxpayers funding it, so they give $100 off for every call. So everybody in Vermilion County will have the same policy, be $100 off. Right now you're paying $45.8 per month. They're willing to take that. The new contract will be in effect July 1st. It's already set up. I mean, if you have any questions, I think if you talk to Julie, Julie's very well versed. She's very professional. When I went to talk to the commissioners, they said whatever Julie says it goes, and so that means a lot. But it's been really a good relationship with them, and they approved it unanimous. Park County did. And so right now you're paying $45.8. We'll continue that on to the end of the contract where it is, and we'd like to continue it on to the end of the year. And then they're going to give us a feedback, really what's going on. They're going to look at the cost, and they're going to say, this is really what's going on. And I think that cost versus with the additional amount of money that's made, for their call, the private calls, I think will, come out good. But the other thing is, it's a big deal because right now, if they get a call from Lyford, someone's got to come out of Rockville. And when this here happens, someone from Clinton can go to Lyford. And so the cross reaction of two counties working together is going to cut our response time even down. It's going to be, they can come right off 36 right to Hillsdale. Park County's got their office right north of 41 and 36. On 41, north of 36, right in Rockville. So logistics, I think, is going to turn out great. I think having someone who is really responsible, we're seeing it as a big deal, and someone who I think will make this work. So really, everything looks really good. It really does. The new contract came in. Is it safe for me to say the amount that's been opened, right, Brenda? The new contract that we'd bid out by Star.
Oh, the Star one.
It was close to $800,000 a year. So right now you're paying $45,800 per month. We will have a complete budget worked out for Park County on our ambulance. She's going to put it all out in writing. You'll see exactly how many calls, how much is coming in. They're here to help us. They said the moment we want to take it back, we can take it back. So there's one other thing that she's going to be asking for. She's checking on purchasing some more medical equipment and stuff. Not medical equipment, medical supplies. So there might be another $10,000, $15,000 or somewhere in that coming up. But overall, we'll end up giving you a budget back. These ambulances with the new box, with a box, even a used box on them, and a new, we're getting all new chassis. Best thing, you got to be able to get there. Can't get there, it'll be no good. So you're looking at a 10-year life expectancy of these, and so that's something that we will be able to come back with a budget for, how much it actually costing you a year, and you can program it, put it back into a budget. We can actually see how much it's costing, and then I think you'll see where it makes sense. But it's really a good deal, I think, for everybody.
At the end of the contract, is Park County going to exit, or are they open to continue?
They're open to continue. And I think that's the way I'm looking at it. I mean, if we get into something that works right, and it works for two counties, the response times are down, and it saves both counties money, why wouldn't we do it? So it's a win-win, I think, for everybody. And if anybody has any questions, ask me. I can't say answer all of them, but I can answer most of them.
I think the 6-month agreement is not necessarily anything other than aligning contractual dates to January 1st. It's just an extension of kind of what we have. It doesn't really mean after 6 months they're not interested. I think in my discussions with them, it seems to be more, it's going to take a few years to figure it out, and that's kind of what we're probably looking at here, not just 6 months. So it's a longer term investment. Like what we're doing now is not just a 6-month investment. I feel comfortable with that statement. As far as the location goes with the house, I think the location's more suitable in terms of just geography, being it's near the state highway that would take you into Park County rather quickly to their part of the northern part of their county. I don't know if the house is necessarily, or the station's necessarily their dream building or something. It's not, but it would put them in a location. So I think that was their discussion with me on the station, was that it was suitable, in a suitable location, and it's a suitable building. For a long term, for the next 20 years, maybe not. But for now, it'll work. Now the garage has to be modified, so that's going to be additional cost. I mean, it's simply just not tall enough, and even if you could fit one particular truck in there today, the next truck you buy may not. You don't know that, so that's something we'll have to look at to see, what is that going to entail?
Well,
because also, the heating and cooling of that building has to be in place for various reasons. And that's going to add additional money to the $150,000 to purchase so just as long as everybody's aware of that it's going to cost a little bit more, to modify that garage. And it needs done, without a doubt. It has to be done, in my opinion, and also in Park County's opinion, with just the wear and tear on the vehicles. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with those trucks sitting out in the sun all day, especially with the contents on the truck, the medicines, things that don't do well with temperatures, extremes. So,
It could be simple though, space heater and a window air conditioner, I mean.
yeah, I'm not saying it has to be a complex solution, the environment in the garage needs controlled, and the physical size of the opening needs to be at least 10 feet, I'd say, if not 12. I don't know how you do that, new trusses, higher walls, whatever.
Well, like I said, what you're paying right now is going to continue till July 30 to the July 1st, and they'll take over, and they will absorb everybody from the existing ambulance service. They'll have most of them have, I think, a raise. They'll have better conditions. They'll even have benefits. So these people that are currently employed now will even be in better shape than what they was before, and we're retaining a workforce. And I think that was a big thing. Is how do you retain a workforce? And you got this moving in where it benefits everybody. And then what we'll see at the end of this, when we renew this contract goes in effect July the 1st, then that's going to be a period to the end of the year. They'll get data up, and then we can revisit in the year and find out where we're at. You know, we might owe them a little bit, and they might, you know, we don't know. We're not trying to make money off.
I mean, my understanding of how it works is not a penny of the money that we provide to the ambulance service for the citizens of Vermilion County can apply toward anything in Park County service to their citizens. So if we owe money or receive money back, it's all on us. It's not anything to do with how their side of the equation went by law, the way I understand that. I don't know if I'm 100% accurate on that, but as far as I know. So any money that we, you know, if there's shortcomings, it's on us. You know, so it's nothing they did wrong. And that's the other thing, is that I guess it's just a comment that I'm going to make, is that whatever we put into this, it's for the citizens of the county and the service. There's no fluff involved, or I shouldn't say fluff, but there's no additional money that's going anywhere but to the service, the employees, the trucks, the necessities to provide the service, the bare minimum. And it's not going to be a winning situation, and we're not going to profit from this, or we're not going to, you know, it's probably going to be in the red forever. I don't know how else it could not be. It's a bad, you know, it's because it's strictly the EMS side, emergency use. It's not convalescent calls, things that you can bill and make, you know, a profit on. We're not going to do that, is my understanding. This is for emergency calls. So with the run volume that we have, the expenses that we have, you know, we may have to adjust the numbers, but at least we know that that's the bare minimum that it can be done for, and we're probably saving money overall when you look at bids that are $700,000-800,000 a year, every single year, soon to be $1 million.
With like a 5% incremental
Yeah.
increase.
So we buy these trucks
At least.
10 years, so the $500,000 for 2 trucks or whatever, $600,000 lasts 10 years. You know, the contracts from at least one bidder was higher than that, just for and that's every year. We're only buying the trucks once every so many years, but once you buy the structure, that's a long-term investment, I guess, for right now.
One other statement needs to be made, and needs to be made clear. I talked with the with the Clinton Hospital. We was going to do a statement together, and it never happened. But people mistake ambulance service as far as when they go there and they need a transfer, they think the county provides for transfers. We do not provide for transfers. That's a non-emergent, if I say the right word. We only provide funding for emergency services. So once they get to the hospital and they need a transfer, it's up to the hospital to make that decision. If they change and say it's emergency, then it's emergency. But a lot of people think that with the contract that we have, provides for transfers from hospitals, and it doesn't. So I want to make that perfectly clear, so when people ask you that, let them know that we do not provide that service. I mean, if it's convenient for them to do it sometime, they do it. But their number one thing is providing emergency service. It's not providing transport. Did I say it right?
Yeah, and I wasn't implying that the current contractor does that. I was just stating that the service that we're looking at into the future here with Park County is pretty much strictly going to be emergency only. Not to say that the current one isn't, but, so
Right.
it's gonna cost, but it's costing more anyway. There's no way out of the cost, so I think
Well,
overall
again,
we'll
like
be
I said,
saving money.
Once we come up with this new contract, there'll be data coming in, we're gonna see, and then we know if we decide to do our own ambulance, you're gonna have all that data there, real data. And you can say it costs, or it does make sense, or it don't make sense. And we haven't had that.
Well, this is new territory. Never
Well-
in the history of this county has this discussion ever taken place since the inception of EMS service as defined by Indiana code, or 1970s is when ambulance provisions were seen. In Indiana, some laws were passed or whatever to provide that for counties, but Park County's always been a government entity. Park County Ambulance, I'm sorry. Vermillion County's pretty much always done it with contractors. Two totally different ways of doing things. So they have a 50-year track record of doing it their way, and we have a 50-year track record of doing it our way, and our way now no longer works. So we have no options, really. I mean, we have very few options with the money that we have. I think it's great that Park County is, it's not possible to do it with any other county, in my opinion. Our Illinois counties operate under different laws. Counties to the north are too far away.
I'll
Counties
just
to
say
the
this
south,
much,
they've got.
that for Park County come through, and we, when it came up and realized there was possibility of winning by Ramsar, so I know the heat came back on me and commissioners, we had to do something, and it was really nice to call in Park County, and they said, yeah, we'll help you out, and that was a good sign when they said that. But like I said, once we do this, it starts in July, and then by the end of the year, we'll revisit it. We'll come back, she'll come up with budgets, and we'll look at it and say, this makes sense, and then we'll work on through it. But I think if we can do something together that cuts response time, two counties working together with no boundaries, it makes sense for the community. It's a great setup, I think. So,
Now, what about the south location?
same place.
There's no garage.
Well, that's something we need to figure out something to do in the future. It'll be our ambulances, so it'll be our responsibility. So,
That vehicle has to have the same kind of conditions.
right now, they're
as-
not out there. You don't have them inside down there either.
Huh?
You don't have them inside it right now.
I know, that's the problem.
Yeah,
It's
that's something
it's
we
very,
need to
very
address.
bad. I think it's a bad situation to have those trucks outside all day.
I agree. The other thing is, did you find out anything for sure from Fairview? They sent a letter up here, the commissioner said they approved.
Yeah, but that's, that's a ways out as far as getting all that done.
Well, I know that.
I think,
I'm just saying, I didn't know if you had complete,
in the near term, do what?
I didn't know if you had clarification from that, because the letter they sent, they said that they approved, they're looking forward to developing the possibility of that site down there.
I don't have any change in that
Okay.
statement.
I knew you went to them one time, so I didn't know if you talked.
Yeah, we talked about it one or two times at their meetings, at the town board meetings at Fairview Park, and they were in favor of moving forward with the plan. Details to be determined at some point, obviously.
Well, we put in for the Ready grant, like I said earlier, we planned on getting the money through that, and it's not gonna happen. I don't think so. We'll have to do it different way.
So the ARPA money that was, I don't know if I'm going off on a tangent here, but the $600,000 that we said could be used for the Ready grant ambulance station project is now expired, or?
Theoretically, because we voted to support the Ready grant in that amount, knowing that the Ready grant option is not happening, there was no additional appropriation made, so it's not like there's $600,000 sitting in a fund waiting to be spent. It would have to be approved yet.
So a new grant, a new set of circumstances for a new station would require another
Correct.
request?
Or my request for these ambulance facilities was based on grant funding. I didn't want to come here and ask you guys for the money. I think that's right. I think we ought to try to find that funding on it and come for you guys for the seed money.
Right, but I'm just saying that
Yeah, the discussion.
with the purchase of the $150,000 North station, and then the deficiency at the south station could be possibly handled with the money that we were going to use for building new stations. And then when it comes time in the future, and it will come, the time will come when new stations will have to be considered and looked at, then we're in a different set of rules. Could be a whole different council here, I don't know. So I would say that money at least exists to help in this. This is a crisis, and so that's why I suggest, the ARP funds could be used for this crisis.
I don't disagree. I think it would be a good use of the funds, being that it was kind of an unexpected situation we found ourselves in. And I am thankful to Park County for their ability to help us out, willingness to help us out. All right.
My take from Park County was this, and I had a long discussion with them, was that in a few years, if you do decide to, if it's beneficial to both counties, keep doing it. If for some reason you want to venture out and do the same thing, as long as, we will have good instruction, very good instruction on how to do it. And we'll be used to working the system their way, which is a good way. And at that point, you'll have two different entities that function almost identically, and then mutual aid between the two still exists well. So either way, it's a win-win, no matter how we do it. But I think it's our job to try to, or at least I view it as my job is to try to help them succeed, because they've succeeded at theirs. We need the help. So, and it's not, the upfront costs are never pretty in a situation like this. I'm sure to them, when they started their service, it was minimal at the time. They advanced into paramedics back in the 90s, I think. We didn't till 2017 or 2018, so they've got a pretty good track record with the program. And they're similar counties. They're similarly sized, similar geographic issues.
The additional tonight is for the location to stay in Cayuga. It can be funded from two different sources. We have advertised from the general fund and certified shares.
Benefits to either?
I mean, the certified shares has the money in there. The general fund does too, so I mean, either can be used. Yeah. There's not as many things that come onto certified shares as there are the general fund currently.
Right.
But
using, when I just mentioned a little bit ago about the ARPA funds, could that, either one of these, could they be
yes,
reimbursed, I suppose? I
Yeah.
don't know if it's a term or not.
we could transfer money from the improvement fund back into them if we wanted. Right now, they're kind of on time constraint to get, if they do purchase the house, to get it done before.
To use either one of these. Yeah, I have no issues with that. I just... I'm talking too much.
Motion to approve the $150,000 for your ambulance building.
Which fund?
Certified shares?
Oh, I would like to see it reimbursed out of ARP money eventually, but you can
Pick
do
one of
that.
these.
It don't matter. You
Certified
split it.
shares. Certified shares.
Okay, certified shares.
All right. There's a motion that,
It doesn't matter.
I'll second.
in a second. All right.
It would be something, you had some ARP money that you can say, you made a difference in the county, in the future of the county, the ARP money.
The ARP money was sort of a crisis-oriented fund in the beginning. Its initial
And what more could
creation
benefit
was
from
due to
health and
shortcomings
welfare
that
of
the
the
county
Yeah, I
suffered
mean-
during COVID.
It is the place to spend it.
All right. I have a motion for Mr. Somerville, a second from Ms. Brown, to approve an additional appropriation of $150,000 into capital outlays from certified shares. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed state no. Additional is approved.
Let's say one other thing before I leave. I gave you some information, I think the meeting before, on get the lead out. I apologize to Eric here because I was supposed to already have the funding in place, and I haven't did it. The ambulance situation came up, and it kind of took my attention all the time, and I didn't get a fit. So I really want you to look at that, get the lead out program. I got a call the other day, I don't know if you know about it or not, but I guess it's went to the governor's office, and we had a representative from IDEM, that's Drinking Water Branch, Section 7. Remember the guy came down?
He was, at our last meeting with Dr. Market,
Yeah.
he was from the State Department of Health.
And he was Area 7, I forget what it was, but when he came down and listened to the program we had, going on about getting the lead out, and it's going back to the governor's office. I don't know if it was Paul Market told you that or not.
I haven't heard that.
And so I apologize to Eric, I didn't ask for that money earlier, so the next meeting, hopefully I can get some of that appropriate for that money. To get the lead out program, you see all the information we sent you is a big thing to, especially helping youth in the future. I mean, lead in houses, plumbing affects kids' future, it affects their brains. And anytime we can do anything to make our county better from a health-wise standpoint and drinking water branch. So Eric has done a wonderful job. He every fair he has a program going on and does a wonderful job for drinking water. It's pre-testing of wells. And that's what we want to do. We want to try to get all the wells tested if possible in the county, and also approach residential homes that are on potable water and community water service. And it's nothing wrong with the community water service. It's after the water sets in the people's houses in their piping, so it don't have no reflection on any public water utility at all. But we're trying to set a standard that I think that I, as a professional water management of over 25 years experience, I've ran these water testing and ran these water companies, and I know when we do lead and copper, there's only like 20 samples of about 850 customers. It's such a small percentage based on the total customers, and so there's a lot of loopholes being slipped there, and we're trying to make our county a little more proactive and set a standard for other counties. And so I look forward to bringing that up next meeting. I just want to let you know that you should have the information for the meeting before.
Mhm.
I think I sent it to you, so if you can read that and have any questions, I'm free to advise you on that. Like I said, I'm calling up Eric. I didn't get done earlier, but just ambulance has been a hot topic.
Thanks for the update.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, we'll move on to the next.
Thank you, Tim.
The next additional appropriation this evening is from the Commissioners in the amount of $18,000. They're asking to put it in the budget line item for Thrive West Central. They're asking for a residential market analysis.
Have they already done this before?
I know there was something done with economic development, but I don't know how long ago that's been. It doesn't say what kind of, is it a survey? Does anyone have any information from Thrive on how they conduct this information? It talks about it, but it doesn't list how they actually collect this data.
Is anyone here from Thrive?
Anyone here from Thrive? No?
Can we table this?
Yes.
Or is
We
there
can table
time?
this.
I recommend that too. Make a motion to table it until we get some further information.
I'll second that.
Alright, I have a motion for Mr. Weir, a second for Mr. Costello to table the additional appropriation for the Thrive West Central market analysis. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Those opposed state no. Alright, appropriation is tabled.
The commissioners accepted it, but Tim just left, I guess. Can't ask him, so.
Alright.
Then
I don't see the purpose of it.
Could have been here to answer questions.
We definitely need some more information. Alright, the other additional appropriation we had tonight was economic development that was advertised, but they had asked for it to be pulled from the packet, so we are at the end of additional appropriations this evening. We do not have any old business. And so moving on to new business, we have Hamilton Center here tonight with an update. Mandy is here. Good evening.
I'm gonna make this very quick, because I have some allergy stuff going on.
Oh, no.
So please excuse my squeaky voice. We just wanted to bring you all a letter. Hamilton Center has been chosen as one of 8 entities in the state to be part of a federal grant that the state of Indiana is applying for to become a demonstration state for a certified community behavioral health clinic. Basically, it's a model of treatment that integrates moment crisis, primary health care, substance use treatment, and mental health care together. So, very quick, short synopsis, but we brought you a letter. You can absolutely reach out to me with any questions or concerns, but just wanted to kind of give you that quick update overview real quick. We should be hearing sometime between May and June on whether or not Indiana receives that grant, that federal grant. So there will be more information coming out as we progress through this, but just wanted to bring you that initial letter.
Thank you. Appreciate the update.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming this evening.
Thank you.
The next item of new business is Resolution 2024-04. This is transferring funds from the County Cleanup Fund to the Solid Waste Management District. We had this at a previous meeting where we talked about moving the funds that they currently have into their own fund, into their account. This is the resolution that will complete that process. Are there any questions on that? We will need to take a vote to approve that.
I make a motion to approve.
No second.
Okay. I have a motion from Mr. Weir, a second from Mr. Bose to approve Resolution 2024-04, the transferring funds from the County Cleanup Fund to the Solid Waste Management District. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed state no. Resolution is approved. Next on the new business is the discussion regarding the creation of an abatement process. Scott, is that you?
I guess. Well, it came up, we've kicked this a couple times, and I don't necessarily want to dwell on too long on that. I know you guys are busy, but we don't get as many tax abatement requests as some other counties do, or cities do, but we have reason to think there might be an increase in those. One reason that we don't get a lot, I think, and sometimes is because we don't know what to tell people. And so I had Kylie, I sent Kylie some information, and it was in your packet. It's a bunch of stuff that I think it's the city fair of.
Mhm.
You know, they have this procedure and process, and they tell people, okay, here's what you need to do. Here's how many, you got to prepare this, you need to prepare this. There's a fee to file for an abatement. And I thought it might be worth our while to, if you're interested, to adopt such a procedure here for Vermillion County, to give people an idea of what to do. Some of the impetus behind this is because the legislature changed the statutes a year ago to allow for farm tax abatements under certain circumstances, and so we've had some inquiries about that. And if they call and say, what do? I'd like to be able to say, here. This tells you, and it tells you you're still going to need some help, but this will get you pointed and going in the right direction. So, as the entity that would approve tax abatements, it's in your bailiwick to develop. We're going to have some procedure for stuff like that. So if you're interested in doing that, we could work up something for adoption this year to put into place, to give people a procedure to follow and a filing fee to sort of offset some of the costs involved.
Well, we just have an IT department set it up.
Well, we need to decide, you know, here's what the product, I mean, really, I'd steal probably a lot of this from Ontario. But, yeah, then we could have a spot on the website to say, okay, you know, call the auditor's office, or the assessor's office, or whoever, that goes to Marin County, or the Economic Development Office's website. And here's what you need to do, here's the deadline, these things need to be turned in so many weeks before the meeting, or whatever, and we'll need these resolutions, and we don't need 12 copies of them probably, but, you know, some stuff like that. Now, City of Terre Haute actually has a system that they follow to kind of score tax abatements, based on, you know, the employees you're going to hire, they have some variables like that are kind of interesting, and they have a committee that they review these scores and makes recommendations. I don't know if we want to go quite that far with it, we could. It could take some extra work to put something like that together, but we could do something like that if you thought so. I just kind of want to introduce the concept to you, kind of socialize the idea. Is this something you want to interested in, or just like, I don't want to mess with it?
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
I'd rather have it and not need it than not have it and need it.
Especially with everything getting ready to happen up north maybe, and
That way there's a standardized process for it.
I don't know that we'd have something like as soon as next month, but sometime this summer, we'll put on our list and, you know, some meeting where you don't have a lot to do. I think we could talk about it.
Tax abatements are a very serious matter, and they deserve a very serious approach.
And with the council, you know, potentially changing every so often, it'd be nice to have something standard that, you know, different groups
I would like to
could
maybe have
utilize.
a separate meeting to discuss like the whole process so we all understand the process as well.
Exactly.
Because the whole economic revitalization area aspect of it, I'm not sure I totally understand that specific detail of what that encompasses to create that area. Because do you have to have that area to have the abatement?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. So there's different.
It's not a huge lift, but it is a little bit of a lift. And then, you know, there probably some education that could happen about what's eligible for abatement, what isn't. I'm still got questions about farming abatements. I've read the stuff, and
Do you know of any counties that have issued them so far?
Sullivan did one. It was for a more traditional kind of structural stuff. My confusion mostly rests in equipment. I don't understand if that includes things like a new combine, or whether that is stuff like
grain bins.
well, no, bins fall under this other section. Or is this more like, I don't know what farmers use nowadays, but, you know, something at a big industrial farm where they've got some sort of, I have this vision of a conveyor belt where chickens are sitting above it laying eggs or something. But I don't know.
Willy Wonka or something.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of, you know. But I've asked, Brenda and I were on a conference call with DLGF a while back, and I asked the field rep from DLGF, she's like, I have no idea. She gave me the name of a guy, but I haven't talked to him. So I do understand, yes, if you're building a new grain bin, or you're putting up, I think even a new barn would qualify for a tax abatement if you go through the process and go through this. Now, the forms have not been updated yet.
That's nice.
So, at least last time I looked, which was a few weeks ago, they've not been updated. So, and you're still required to say how many employees you're going to retain, how many employees you have, how many you're going to add new employees. You know, I don't know if you know, most farmers do have people who work for them or with them, but a lot of them don't have employees per se. They may have, some do, but some just have higher help that comes in during harvest.
And that's that scoring process, because I'm starting to get some of those questions too. And, you know, how we go about it, and everybody be treated the same. We need a process.
And that's the concept, I think,
Yeah.
that's behind that kind of scoring process, is to kind of try and balance things out. And maybe somebody who's doing a $10 million investment and 15 new jobs, maybe they get something better than the person who's doing a million-dollar investment and not adding any jobs.
Right.
Because there's a lot of flexibility in the length of abatements and in the percentage of abatement that can be granted as well. You have a lot of flexibility when it comes to.
Who's to determine, like, if a person wants, or say an individual, like a farmer, for example, that's the example where you feels or knows that they're entitled to an abatement, or they can get an abatement on something. That's their responsibility to approach us,
Yeah, I mean.
or
I'm not
whoever
saying-
that
I'm not
is.
saying economic development or whatever office can't share that information with them,
Yeah.
but it's hard for us to know who's building what, and they really need to do this before.
But I mean, like the auditor or the treasurer, no one here is obligated to say, oh, just so everybody knows that you're getting a permit to build this grain bin. Did you know that, you know, did we have to
It'd be nice.
provide?
No, we don't have to, and, I mean, I didn't mean to say that we couldn't, let people know about it. It's just hard to know, because I got asked the question about the farm abatement a couple months ago, and I looked for a minute and thought about it, and no, not, because it has to be manufacturing, and, you know, obviously, you could argue about that with farm stuff. And then I took a second look, a few weeks later, I probably looked at the statute, and then they changed the statute. They literally added.
But they haven't
language to
updated the
statute.
forms yet.
Pardon?
They changed the
No,
statute, but they
had
did
not
not
updated
update
the forms. Yeah,
So-
so, they changed the statute effective like July 1st of last year. So, what I'm getting at is, somebody at the courthouse called me to ask me about that, and I told them no. But you almost have to be a lawyer sometimes to even know what the changes are.
Well, if someone brings an abatement and the council has to consider it, however the procedure goes, then how do we know that it's correct in them asking, or
That's part of
is
my
that
job.
here to advise us on?
Of a lawyer. And the form, really the form and the resolutions themselves will have mandatory language in them about, it's not supposed to go someplace that is already booming and in theory. It doesn't need any kind of abatement to incentivize people to do it. There was a big debate in Terre Haute last week, I think, over a hotel at I-70 and 41. They wanted an abatement. Terre Haute City Council said no, and I think it was a close vote. It was argued for an hour. I think the primary thing was this area does not need any kind of incentive to grow. This area is going to grow. It's the intersection of the two biggest roads in West Central Indiana. We don't need to incentivize it. So, and that was their, I think it was a 4-3 vote, but it was close. Or maybe it was 3-3, but if somebody absent and carried, whatever the case was. But, that's not something we've ever had to deal with too much here, but it could be. Somebody's already put stuff in, and then they come in and ask for the abatement and say, well, I really need this. It's like, well, do you? I mean, you already got the, you already got stuff. So, but these are things, like I said, I didn't want to get into I was hoping to avoid a big discussion. Just if it's something we could do in a meeting, special meeting. Or
I think it's something we probably deserves its own time to make sure we get it done.
Is the farm abatement program being built, or is it already put in motion? People are applying for it now?
We haven't had anybody yet. We've had them over the years, Jim. We've had one every year, maybe-ish, something like that on average. But I think part of that is people don't know how to do it, don't know how to go about asking for one, the forms you have to fill out. It can be intimidating. There's a lot of forms that have to be prepared. It's not something simple. It's not something you want to do to save a few $100s, frankly. It's something that you should be doing for major investments that are going to.
The last few abatements have been brought by their corporate attorneys.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, and I've kind of pushed to have, hey, you're going to save, whatever you're asking to save, $175,000 in the next 3 years. I think you can spend a few $100 on a lawyer to help you get the paperwork together.
Well, I think it's a good idea to have something that you can send them to where it's basic standard operating.
Yeah, here's what our expectations are, here's the rules, so we'll work with that, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, we'll do that.
We'll see.
All right. Next on new business is Eric Schreiber here with Soil and Water Conservation District. Good evening, Eric.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Cleared the room. That's,
Yeah.
last man standing. So I do have extra copies of the proposal if anybody needs one, if you didn't bring one with you.
I think everyone should have one.
Huh?
Brenda put it in
Okay.
our packet for us.
Perfect.
Kylie.
Perfect,
Thank you,
thank you. So, what I brought to your attention for this evening is we have an opportunity to go into a 5-year contribution agreement with the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service. This has come about basically because a year and a half ago we were informed that Vermillion County was going to get a federal employee stationed and will be servicing Vermillion County. For the last 35 plus years, we have been sharing a district conservationist with NRCS with Park County, and so that person has been servicing both counties, has been stationed in Rockville at the USDA Service Center along with the Farm Service Agency. Because of lots of different reasons, NRCS has decided to take those counties that were joined several years ago and put individuals back in those counties. So that's why we're getting a federal employee. And it is a district conservationist. It is actually Andrew Brown from Fountain County is going to be moving down to Vermillion County. So he is an experienced NRCS employee, experienced in federal farm bill programs, and so it's a pretty good asset for us to have. That's what perpetuated Soil and Water to ask for space over in the annex, because we needed office space, and we have moved forward with that. If you haven't been over to the annex yet and toured that to see the renovations and how that looks, I encourage you to do that. It's a wonderful space. So because we are housing a federal employee and giving them space and providing them with lots of amenities, I have been working on an agreement with our state office to provide funding, and we're using the annex as part of that match to increase our staff. Number one, we currently have a resource technician who is funded through a technical assistance grant through our National Association of Conservation Districts, but that grant is only a year-by-year grant. It could go away next year. We could not get selected, they could do away with the grant, whatever, and then we would be out an employee. The second thing is we've had some other smaller grant revenue streams where we have been able to add a part-time, at this point, administrative assistant who is taking care of the front reception area. That person is there all the time when Hannah and I are not in the office, so that if there are folks that come in, they can be attended to and not see a sign on the door that says, hey, we're out of the office, come back later, which has been kind of standard practice for, well, as long as I've been here, 10 years. This agreement is bringing in the cash to fund both of those positions full-time, so it will pay for both of those people's salaries. It will also pay for the calculated fringe benefit for the administrative assistant. What I'm asking from the council tonight is basically your commitment that over the course of that 5 years that you would be willing to at least fund the fringe benefit package for the resource technician. What I quoted you in the spreadsheet, where the asterisks are under the resource technician, that is the calculated fringe benefits plus the 2024 rate for the highest insurance cost that an employee could take. So that's the family plan. So that would be your monthly cost calculated at the 2024 rates. So that is essentially trying to give you the highest number that we would be asking for. Now, that number could easily go down if the employee only takes the single plan, or maybe doesn't take insurance at all because they have insurance from another source. The only way that that number would go up is if, obviously, our insurance rates go up. So that would be the only way that that number would go up. But the number that I quoted you in the packet, that 396,000, that's a 5-year number. I just wanted to give you an idea of what it's going to look like. We're projecting 5 years out. What this agreement does is it does solidify those positions for, at minimum, 5 years. Once you get into an agreement with NRCS, it's very likely that they will continue that agreement going forward. So it is a more solidified revenue stream for us to be able to fund those positions.
Actual cash the county is contributing over the 5 years isn't the 392.
Correct. That is correct.
Because it's the in-kind of being space. And
yes. Yes. So the actual cash is the 15,000. So there's a line item in there. Our administrative assistant right now is also the controller for solid waste. So there are $15,000 for, again, that's a 5-year number, $3,000 a year for the controller position to continue those services with solid waste. And then it would be with actual cash, you're knocking on the door of about $200,000 over 5 years. Maximum. And really what I need is just a statement of commitment that you're okay with that you're willing to do that, so that we can move the process forward with the agreement with NRCS.
By having the additional people in the office, does that, like you mentioned that the technician will now be completely Vermilion County versus Vermilion and Park?
Correct. Okay. Yes.
And so what kind of programs, I guess, I think most people don't necessarily understand what all Soil and Water does. Sorry.
You're...
I guess what kind of programs are offered that you guys offer that are beneficial, and who can benefit from those things?
So, and that's a great question. And so basically, what's going to happen is when the NRCS employee takes over Vermilion County, they're going to be dedicated to working with, for all intents and purposes, our agricultural producers, because that's who qualifies for federal farm bill programs. So that's what that person is going to be going out, talking with agricultural producers, and encouraging them to sign up for farm bill programs to increase conservation on their working lands. What then we'll be able to do as a Soil and Water, as the local entity, is we'll be able to help provide that technical assistance to those producers. That may be coming up with a wildlife mix for a prairie strip. That may be coming up with a cover crop mix for an entire field to implement cover crops. The conservation resource technician will become a certified conservation planner. So that will be an extra benefit to our agricultural producers, because in order to obtain these dollars through farm bill programs, you have to have a conservation plan written. And so that would be something that that they're not currently doing now as a service. That would be something that the resource technician would then, in our office, would then be offering for local producers. For those that are not agricultural producers, we would just continue and expand on our plethora of educational programs that we do for landowners on invasive species, wildlife habitat, backyard gardening. We do soil testing for backyard gardeners. So
what's the best way for people to find out about those programs? Do you have
We got our website.
Okay.
Yep, just dcswcd.com. Very easy to get to. There's also a link off of the county website too that you can get there too. But yeah, all of our programs are listed. We keep that up to date with everything going on. Okay.
So all these years we've shared this with Park County. Is there
for the last 4 years, yes, we've shared this resource technician with Park County as a joint effort.
Was something happened that the increase that we need to no longer share that?
Well, it's always been my goal to eventually have a dedicated resource technician here in the county, just, for Vermillion County residents. The opportunity came up about 4 years ago for us to apply for this grant, and we've been lucky enough to be successful continuing on. Like I said, it's a year-to-year grant, and we don't know from year to year whether or not we're going to get selected. We've just been lucky enough to continue to do that, and so we now have another opportunity to expand and change the course of that just a little bit.
It'll be a full-time position?
Full-time, yep, both will be full-time positions with benefits, so that is the goal.
You were asking for, to fund fringe benefits for the resource technician only, or both?
Resource technician only.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically you're getting you're getting two full-time employees in the county for the less than a quarter of the price that you would pay for those two positions. And we're leveraging, as part of that match that we're providing, we're leveraging the space in the annex. So they're essentially going to be paying for that. So we are seeing not real cash benefit, but we are seeing some value benefit coming back to the county from the purchase and the expansion of the annex.
At the end of 5 years, the process starts over, or does the process to continue on with that begin at some point halfway through the grant, or I mean, how do you? Basically
at the beginning of year 5, we'll start looking at another contribution agreement, and once we're in it, the process is a lot easier because we've got most of the hard part done. So it's just going into a renewal phase and making some minor adjustments.
I was just kind of wondering how that would coincide with budget hearings as far as when that 5-year point is reached. Do they know, does SWC know that we were going to continue for another 5 years prior to the September meeting? Or?
We should, yes. Yeah, and that's why I'm doing this now and coming to you now, because we have to have all the paperwork in to the state by the end of May so that they have time to review, and then we'll probably, if we don't have a final decision by September 1, we will have a very good indication on whether or not this is going to go through by then. And that's because their fiscal year is October 1 to September 30 on the federal side. So we should know well before budget time, where we stand with this. And I mean, I've been in talks with our state conservationist, who is in charge of Indiana, and she is very much on board with this agreement. This is kind of a pilot program. They haven't done agreements like this in the past, so this is something new for them as well. But she is very supportive and very on board and wants to see this be a success. We've been working on this for about 3 months now.
And they've committed to the grants for 5 years?
Correct. Yep. This is a 5-year agreement, which is standard practice for them.
At the end of 5 years, if the program's ended or there's no opportunity left, then what? The full-time employees then need...
We figured that out.
Right.
And again, that.
Well, I didn't know if there was an automatic, we go back to a shared conservationist, we have a part-time.
Well, so as far as
Plan B.
As far as the federal employee goes, I have no control over that. We have no control over that. That's the federal government. They giveth and they taketh away at their discretion. Right now, we're on a giving end. As far as the contribution agreement goes that we're signing into, that is solid for 5 years, and then we will have the option to move into 5 years. Now, at the end of 5 years, if it's not working, or they say no, then we find other options for our employees, for the resource technician, and for the administrative assistant. Those are who we're responsible for. As far as the district conservationist goes, they are a federal employee. We don't have any.
But they're in a county building.
Correct. Which is flip-flop of what is normal in Indiana. Because
Yeah, I
normally
was gonna
soil and
say.
water conservation districts are housed in the federal building, so it's a flip-flop scenario. So this is one of those times where we're sitting kind of in the driver's seat, in a good spot, because we're actually, as the county entity, providing space for the federal employees.
So if they don't continue the grant, they're gonna have to find somewhere to put him, right? Because they won't have an office.
That would also
No,
be to the
I'm
county's
just-
discretion.
That's our discretion.
You could say,
Do
no
they
money,
use-
no.
So who provides the federal employees' equipment? The federal, like the laptops, the tools, is that all federally?
That's all, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's all federal. What we have committed to is basic, they'll be on the federal computer system through our internet. So we're providing internet, we're providing, providing supplies, copier, paper, those types of things. But as far as hard, durable equipment, NRCS will provide for their we won't have anything,
Soft things.
Yeah.
Are you on their system, their federal computer system?
I am not. Hannah, our technician, is on the federal system, just because of the nature of her work. I have never been on the federal system, really don't have any desire to be on the federal system, haven't had a need to. And then if everything gets approved and we are able to move forward, the administrative assistant will also be granted, or will apply for federal clearance and also be on the system, because that position will also be assisting the district conservationist in facilitating programs with clients, getting them signed up, things like that, as part of the agreement.
Thanks.
So the county benefits is going to be better, more efficient for the small gardener up to the big farmers?
That is the plan. That is my hope, yes. And so far, it has been. I mean, we've just been able to expand, just in the last few years, our programming by leaps and bounds. On anytime you can get another set of hands and some other good ideas going, we've really expanded what we've been able to do and provide for all levels of residents.
So according to the sheet, basically, we would be putting in about $189,000 worth of fringe benefits. Because with the solid waste controller, we already paid for.
Right.
So in new money, it'd be that, in exchange for about $489,000 worth of labor and benefits that they're giving us.
Salary and benefits, yes.
Okay. So we're more than doubling our investment, basically.
Yes.
I personally feel like we give every other program a shot. With CASA, Peerport, drug interdiction, we've all given them a chance with their grants to
Yeah.
show what they can do. This is for potentially every person in the county can use some kind of resource in soil and water, not
Exactly.
just a few. So.
And as Tim mentioned earlier, we do a pretty tremendous water testing program. So
Fair's coming up.
It is coming up. Postcards are going out at the end of the month, so.
Yep.
It's kind of like dealing with good problems.
Yeah.
Yes.
I see this as being a good resource for the citizens that anyone can use.
Yeah.
So do you need,
You just need basically a vote of support.
I need a
To-
commitment that you'll at least cover the fringe benefits for the resource technician, and then agree that those solid waste management dollars can also be applied to that full-time position.
Okay.
Those would be your responsibilities.
Well, I don't know what we're really, ultimately, I'm not trying to, commitments beyond this year's, these would have to be budget items that
Right.
when you're in your time, so to speak?
I
But
think what
in-
Eric's asking for is just our,
A
if
vocal.
we start down this, hopefully you won't pull the rug out from under me when it comes to budget.
That's, yeah. That's a good way to put it.
So even with the grant, there's still an annual, year-by-year
Would have
approval?
to, it has to be subject to appropriation, so.
Every year?
Anything we do beyond the budget year, outside of a few very narrow things, has to be subject to appropriation by the county, so, it's gonna be up to future councils to do this, in 2026 and beyond's budget years, but, all I can tell you is, I don't know if
That's
there
just
needs
the
to be a
nature of the
motion,
game.
Yeah.
Either
Yeah,
a
you know
sense of the
that.
council or somebody want to, kind of tell Eric that we think this is something we would support when it comes budget time, or you have hesitations about, because it sounds like you have to get your paperwork in, you'd like to get your paperwork in sooner rather than wait till September to budget hearing.
Yeah, well, Indianapolis is requiring the paperwork by the end of the month, so they can
Federal budgets are what?
go through their,
State, I mean, everybody's got a different, we do a calendar year, but
Yes.
everybody else is on different fiscal years.
Yes.
This message.
So, would there be a motion then to provide a commitment to funding the resource technician fringe benefits and applying the solid waste district controller budget towards this grant? It's basically what we're looking at.
For me, it's just the government getting a little bit bigger. Just another thing.
Honestly, I see this program as helping the citizens of the county.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in every citizen, whereas a tax abatement, I'm just gonna go back to that, usually just does that one entity. This is something, or drug court's only for that group of people. This is something for everybody. I mean, the local gardener to the large farmer in this county is mostly ag, I'm gonna say.
We are, yes.
And that's where I see, I mean, when I was on the school board corporation and we were looking at funding and things like that, well, we knew who the top 10 taxpayers were in the county. And a couple of those are large industrial, but all the rest of them are ag. And that's, I'm going to say, very similar to the southern part.
Yeah, and our, we're educational, resource, I mean, that's our role. We're not regulatory, so we're not going after anybody, we're not going, we're there to educate folks, we're there to provide resources on, anything natural that you have a question on. We even help people that, we have a list of resources for people who find, rabbits and baby raccoons, these rehabilitation type, DNR, try calling DNR and finding out that information, you're not going to do it. So we do have resources on there. And then, we do bring in lots of money through these different Farm Bill programs that are subsidizing and benefiting our producers on the agricultural side, but then we also have lots of smaller grants that we're providing for our smaller landowners. So
This could be something we could take out of certified shares, I think, and not affect the general fund, which comes from the property tax. That's where we took money out of this past year for like Parks Department projects with certified shares. That's the income tax based one. So that money gets generated. I mean, it's not going to affect the rate by any means of increasing anything. Something we can look at budgets of where to put it, but we do have some options on it to where to fund it from.
I don't think they're, Kelly, just to reiterate, I don't think they're growing the office. You already have these individuals.
these people are,
functioning.
these people are in service right now. They're working, they're doing. We're just, my whole goal is to give some longevity to them being there. And doing this in a 5-year agreement allows us to do that. Give some stability to the office.
I guess an important question maybe to answer, some people may ask, is that these are legitimate full-time positions. I mean, their workload full-time position will get utilized as
Absolutely,
I mean,
yes.
There's enough work, I guess. I
There
don't
is,
know how else to say it.
there is more than enough work, yes.
So currently, under part-time circumstances, they're just not getting it all done, or there's people waiting, or something like that, or?
Correct. Well, and once the district conservationist comes in, then, especially with the administrative assistant, that workload will increase. So it will stay part-time until, because this agreement will be executed January 1 of 2025, then for the next 5 years. So for the remainder of this year, that position will stay part-time, and we'll just work through that until we move into that agreement phase.
When does the federal person come? January?
He starts June 3rd
Okay.
here.
Do you have him a desk?
Yep. Yep. Soil and Water took care of that.
You guys aren't in any way of pushing back on the CO2 coming in, are you? Or you have to stay away from that?
We have to stay away from that. We're neutral, I guess you could say.
I mean, one end of the government's trying to push it in the ground, and your end's trying to clean it up, so it's kind of, you know.
We do a lot of other natural means of carbon sequestration, so that's where we stand. Yes, there are ways, but as far as injecting it into the ground, we have not gotten into that foray.
It's too far below the soil.
Is there an annual tree
One
sale?
of the dumbest ideas I've ever heard in my life. It's one of the dumbest ideas I've ever heard. Pumping that poison in the ground.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Not your idea.
Do you offer
No,
trees
no,
for sale?
the natural idea.
So, I mean, you're a mile underground. That part of it, to me personally, makes sense. I do, however, as you shake your head, Brenda, it's the infrastructure. Getting it down there where there is lots of opportunity for failure. So,
Fault line.
if it goes down far enough, 4,500 feet down to bring that up, we have other greater problems happening.
A major underground earthquake will do just that. And who's to say we won't have one?
Okay.
Well, that's another story.
Yes. Again, as far as the soil water goes, we haven't got into the foray on that one, so.
All right. So is there a motion this evening to support this agreement?
I make that motion.
All right.
I'll second it.
Okay. I have a motion from Mr. Weir, a second from Mr. Rose, to support the contribution to provide the resource technician fringe benefits and to apply the solid waste district dollars for the controller into that position as well. Is there any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
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 All those opposed, state no. Motion is approved.
All right. Thank you very much.
Appreciate all your
Thanks
good
for your
work.
time.
Hey, no problem. And again, if you guys haven't made it over to the annex, you're welcome anytime. That's right. Well, it's boxed up right now, so. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. I'm sorry to keep you till last on the agenda.
Hey, that's okay.
We may have to move you out, though, to build an ambulance station over there. We need the building back.
You need to build it back.
Okay.
Oh, it's not like that, Rumor.
Really nice house in Cuba.
Okay,
Like a chair.
we do have one more item on the new business.
Thanks, Eric.
Back in December, I took the open position we had on the Economic Development Commission. We did have one person that I asked anyone if they would like to apply. Bill Reynolds is open and willing to volunteer to accept the position of Economic Development Commission on our behalf as our representative. So I would like to bring up that appointment this evening, to appoint Bill to the Economic Development Commission going forward.
And I think he'd be a good choice.
He's expressed a lot of interest
Yeah.
about trying to grow Vermillion County and being involved in whatever way he can to help facilitate that. So.
And he sat on here for a period of time. I think got some insight.
He did a great job when he was on the council. So. Is there a motion to accept his appointment?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll second. Oh, you go ahead. Go ahead, no. You live closer to him, I think, don't you, Megan?
Alright, I have a motion for Mr. Weir, a second for Ms. Brown to appoint Bill Reynolds as the Economic Development Commission appointee for the County Council. All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed state no. Alright, Bill is
Is that for a
appointed.
1-year term or 2-year term, I guess?
It's,
Fill the remainder of whatever term is left, person who you
Yeah.
replaced, which I don't remember.
so, I'm pretty sure
Buddy White?
he's got 4 years left. I think it's a brand new one.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
It's, they're 4-year terms.
We have a spreadsheet that we'll have to fill,
So-
but
Okay.
it's a 4-year term, but I'm pretty sure I was just at the beginning, just to fill in until we found somebody.
Okay.
So,
Just need to make sure we got that documented.
Yep. I think the auditor's office has that spreadsheet to keep updated. One of your mini tasks. We appreciate it. Okay, public comment. We are left with no one. So, anybody else have comments?
Would you like to make a comment,
Kylie?
Kaylee?
Kylie?
Thanks for sticking it out. All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Perfect. Thank you.